Hey guys, welcome back to Status Detail, and on today's episode we are detailing this super awesome 918 Spyder. This is a one-of-one spec, which I'll walk you around in a little bit. But as you saw in that intro, we have a negative 10 degree winter day in Chicago. The car came in on a little bit of snow. The streets and stuff were getting a little snowy, and the car was on summer tires, so I'm sure that was a little bit of a scary drive. The car is super dirty in select spots. Lots of salt and snow that are kind of caked onto some spots that we need to take care of in a very delicate manner. And then we'll jump into what we're doing on this car and what this detail will entail. Let's jump into it. A quick look around the car shows that we have a lot of dirt and rocks and gravel and salt and just all around all kinds of dirt. You can see there's basically like a measurable thickness of dirt, like a millimeter worth of built up gravel and salt and stuff in a lot of these areas. So we were going to try and do a waterless wash in the garage because we figured most of the car would look like the top half, which you'll see in a second, which wasn't very dirty. But because it was so bad, we had to wash it with a pressure washer. The only safe way to do this would be to wash it all away. Because it was negative 10 outside, we ended up washing the car inside the shop. That's something I don't normally do, but when it's negative 10 and you have a heated shop, you wash inside. So you'll see here, we're just using, a pressure washer, which is using a lot of force and a lot of lubrication, which is water in this case. And it just blows everything away. This car was previously ceramic coated by a different company like a long time ago, and we're basically going to try and preserve this ceramic coating. As you can see, this was applied a year ago, and the car was only driven 20 miles by the person who bought this car after that ceramic coating. So this basically is a brand new ceramic coating. So that's why everything is blowing away so well, and that's giving us these really, really satisfying shots of basically, rinsing all this dirt away, which is great. So it's making my job easy, and this is a great little advertisement on why you want ceramic coatings on your car. And basically what we're going to do here is once everything's rinsed off, we're probably getting 98% of the dirt off in the rinse. And then we're going to go through the normal process of a wash in a moment. But our job here on this detail is really that it's like a maintenance detail. Now, normally when we show these videos, we're doing some 40-hour crazy detail. But because this car was previously taken care of and because we do bespoke detailing, we didn't really know what we were getting into when we got this car. So what we are doing right now is we're finding out what we're getting into. So as you can see real time on the screen here, car is beating water really, really nicely. So because the car has a one-year-old ceramic with only 20 miles on it, I don't really want to mess with this ceramic. I don't really want to polish any of it off. And as long as the car is in good condition, which means the car has no swirl marks in it, then we're good to go. We'll basically just do a normal maintenance detail, and that would be the end of the process. So the only thing that's going to make me have to polish this car is if it has swirl marks or some kind of damage in the paint. This car has full body PPF, so we are talking about PPF when we say paint. As you can see though, the water is really beating really nicely, so that's all great. So you're going to see here that I'm taking extra precautions to really rinse the car down really, really nicely to make sure I'm getting as much dirt off of this thing as I can before I foam it and wash it. I do not want, the only friction during this detail is the wash pad going on the car. So you'll see we're foaming the car here, and before people, freak out and say, well, look at that foam, it won't even stick to it. Because I'm washing indoors here and we don't have a drain inside, I mixed the soap really, really thin, like it was diluted really heavy. I didn't want shaving cream on the floor and then I would slip and fall. That would be a whole other video for the channel, so we don't need anything like that. So the foam was mixed really, really thin because like I said, I got the car like 98% clean with that rinse. But we did want to kind of have like a quote-unquote degreasing agent to make sure the paint was really clean, which is why we shot foam on it. You're seeing the Detail Factory brush go on here, and the Detail Factory is great for these little areas and badges and stuff like that. And then the premium wash pad comes in here, and you can just see we're going over the whole car. So very little pressure is going on here, and like tons of lubrication from the soap that you can see. So like I said, we're just very fast wash, pretty superficial. We're not trying to like get in here. We're not trying to do any crazy like 3 foaming thing with like Q2 foam and like try and really get it. Like I don't want to mess with this ceramic coating too much. And then to complete this process, we're doing a blow dry because again, no friction, right? We don't want to touch this thing. So blow drying is as easy as it gets. Alrighty, so once the wash was completed, we could really jump into the inspection process, which was a very important step on this detail because like we said, when the car came in, I didn't know what we were going to do to the car. I didn't know what it needed. All I knew was the car was detailed 1 year ago and that it was ceramic coated. So that's kind of a really open-ended way to start a detail, because it could be in immaculate shape, it could be in terrible shape, it could be in so-so shape, and I don't know if that install was good or bad, so I have to kind of find out. So we end up having to do some like detective work. So I walk around the car and I'm going to cue in all the footage and I'll show you what I found. So basically, most of the car was in really, really good shape. I'd say 80% of the car, maybe 85% of the car was almost perfect. Like good, good enough that there's no way I'm going to polish it to try and make it better. Because when we polish a ceramic coated car, we remove the ceramic coating, which isn't the end of the world because we can put a ceramic coating back on. But you always have to keep your customer in mind. You don't want to just tell them, oh yeah, it needs to be re-ceramic coated and charge them $1,000 for the ceramic. Like, you don't want to do that, right? So when we walked around the car, I would say 85%, 80% of the car was in good enough shape that there's no way we would like remove the ceramic coating to fix the marks that I found. The marks were very superficial, nothing crazy. Now on the 20% that was left over, or 25% that was left over, the marks that I found were definitely bad enough to remove. And because most of these panels are small, isolated things, we can fix them really easily by polishing the car and then just re-ceramic coating over that with a ceramic topper like G-Technic EXO, which is the second coating in a dual layer coating system. So the wheels over here, like where it says E-Hybrid, both sides of the cars, both sides of the car, passenger and driver side, that was pretty bad and needed polish. This fender right behind me here, this needed polish. The wing needed polish, and the passenger side. The passenger side of like this section also needed to be polished. So it's hard to tell why that happened. Probably just bad wash process where they ended up scratching that stuff when they washed the car over the course of the year. I'm sure it got washed once or twice, even though it was driven very, very infrequently. I think the car only was driven 40 or 50 miles in 1 year by the previous owner, and then Steve Hamilton, I think they've driven it maybe 200 miles or something like that since they've owned it. So very few miles have been put on this like ceramic coating job, which is why we're trying to preserve it. Now outside of that, everything came out as you would expect. Everything came out really, really nicely. We were able to polish everything out. The whole car is PPF, so we're basically polishing PPF / ceramic coating. The wing was really temperamental and really, really hard to paint correct. Sometimes PPF is just weird like that and it's complicated to paint correct, but for the most part, it was pretty easy to do. PPF usually is easy to polish with like a light to medium polish and like a light to medium cut pad with a medium speed on a polisher. To an extent, you're really polishing the ceramic coating, and ceramic coatings tend to be hard. So there's kind of a middle ground where you're not trying to remove the ceramic coating, but you're trying to remove the scratch. And no matter what you're doing in terms of removing it too much or leaving a little bit on there, that's why we have that topper back on. So there's ceramic sealing it all in when you're done. The inside of the car was in pretty good shape, but cars like these are usually used not very much, but that doesn't mean they're not sat in a lot. So this car was probably people were sitting in it a lot, whether it be at car shows or especially the way the Hamilton collection will use it. Lots of people will sit in this car, which can make the leather bolsters on the seat wear out a little bit, and just like some spots on the seats are a little bit shiny, which I don't like. So we are going to fix those seats and basically just Geon leather cleaner and a brush, and we're going to clean up all that stuff and it's going to look great. And then when we're done with that, we're going to put G-Technic leather ceramic on top of all of that because it'll make it stay a little fresher, right? It's going to make it look a little nicer long term. It's going to be a little more abrasion resistant, which is nice, especially on the bolsters, which get beat up. And that's really helpful when lots of people are getting in and out of the cars at car shows. The leather was in obviously pretty good shape because the car is pretty new, but you know, I'm kind of a leather specialist, so I like to make sure leather is perfect. So we ended up cleaning the leather with Gion leather cleaner and a leather brush, which is really important to get that agitation to kind of clean everything up. Basically, we just wanted to restore that matte look on most of the leather because certain parts were matte and fine, but other parts were a little bit shiny, and I didn't like that. The door jambs needed some polishing just because they had normal swirl marks. Usually, people use drying towels that aren't very good, or at the end of the process of cleaning a car when the towel is already dirty because it picks up little bits of dirt from here and there on the car, they do the door jambs, and then they do like under the hood and you know, front jams and trunk jams and stuff like that, and that's why the door jams get so messed up. So we had to fix that because the door jams just didn't match the rest of the car. They were much, much worse on the outside, and that didn't feel right. So we had to polish the door jams. The carbon fiber under the hood, so when you open the hood in the front, there's like carbon fiber everywhere. And same thing, when they're drying the car, it's obvious someone was dragging, you know, not great towels over it. So all of that carbon fiber didn't look good. It's a thing that at a car show I don't think anyone will ever see. I don't even know if the owners of the car would ever notice that, but I noticed it, and I don't let cars leave here in that condition. So underneath the hood, all of that got paint corrected. But yeah, that kind of wraps up the detail. That's what we had to do to this car to make it perfect. And let's jump into some after shots and just some final shots of the car, because you know I love doing cool cinematic shots at the end. Cue the montage in 3, 2, 1. Alrighty guys, that's going to wrap up this video. If you have any questions for me, feel free to drop a comment below. I've always loved interacting with you guys. If you have questions about cool cars like these or just about detailing or whatever it might be, let me know below and I will respond to it for sure. If you liked the video, give it a like, and if you're enjoying this this kind of video, and if you've seen these videos on our channel before and you haven't subscribed yet, think about subscribing, because I have so many more videos planned. This is not like a YouTube channel where it's like a novelty and I release a video every now and then or something. I release a video every single Sunday, and I have so many videos in the pipeline. So this is a regular YouTube channel where you can expect videos. So because of that fact, subscribe to the channel so you get the notifications and see every video that we drop. We'll catch you in the next video. See you then.